So Apple's Time Flies event is just wrapping up. We saw some new hardware, which is always exciting. It was all about watches and all about iPads, and even a little hint about what we can expect with the next generation iPhone, which I will talk about in a sec. But let's start with your wrist. Today was all about Apple Watch Series 6 and the brand new just announced Apple Watch SE, appropriately named. So let's start with the big guy and Series 6. So aesthetically, the watches look the same 44 and 40 millimeter sizes. There were some rumors even the crown was gonna go away, but it's there. What's gonna make this look different visually is the display. So the always-on display is now gonna get 2 times brighter. The display generally is better. And inside, you now have the S6 chip, which is based on the same A13 that's in the iPhone 11 and iPhone 11 Pro. Should give you, they said, about 20% better speed. They didn't talk too much about battery life, but presumably it's not gonna get any worse here. So what's new though is colors. There's a super bright product red version. They could see it in one of the demonstrations that one of the women was presenting was wearing, and it is bright and definitely different. So Andrew Edwards is gonna be all about that. There's also a blue one, but unfortunately what's gone is the ceramic version that we had with Series 5. Also, there's a bunch of new bands and new loops. There's a new silicone loop that doesn't have any clasp on it. It'll sort of stretch and expand depending on the size of your wrist. There's even fancier version of that where they kind of wove it around so it looks seamless around your wrist. It looks nice. But mostly the big changes are hardware-wise and sensor-wise. And this is a giant deal. As the Apple Watch continues to evolve from something that's cool for notification, something that's really important for health, the more sensors and health things that are added to the Apple Watch. And it seems strange to say, but more literally, the more lives that can be saved. So what we've got here is blood oxygen monitoring. This is kind of a cool way that they are doing it. They're using infrared and red light to essentially shine light into your wrist. It gauges the color of your blood, and of course the color of your blood is determining how much oxygen you have in it. Feeds that back to the watch, uses algorithm and machine learning to sort of give you a pretty close approximation of what your blood oxygen level is. Then you can do what you want with that information. Now, as people, we have to learn what those numbers mean. Is 80 normal? Is 90 normal? What should we be aware of? But it is nice early indicators for things like panic attacks, potential even cardiac arrest if your oxygen level drops. But perhaps most importantly, especially now, is on your lung performance. So with COVID and influenza and flu coming, I think people knowing how their lungs are performing, how the respiratory system is working is really nice. And they didn't come out and say it's an indicator that you may have COVID or anything like that, but it's another sort of data point that you can use to reference when you evaluate your own health. So there's a separate app that'll monitor your blood oxygen level. It also will periodically do it throughout the day and night if you're wearing it. So you can go to your health app and sort of check those out, even if you're not always running the test yourself. There's also new updates to the altimeter. It's now always on. So if you're hiking up a mountain or climbing up a bunch of steps, you can always gauge sort of your altitude in real time. And obviously it's running Watch OS 7, that's a big deal. And like every new Apple Watch, every new software version, there's a bunch of new watch faces, which are nice. Some have stripes, some have faces, there's new complications that look like racing. They're new watch faces. You can go through them and they're nice. And if you're really into memojis, you've got a new memoji face that will make you happy. But what I think was the coolest thing, what makes the most sense, is this new family setup mode. So if you've got kids or older parents or grandparents that don't have an iPhone, it used to be if you wanted to have an Apple Watch, you had to have it paired to an iPhone. That's no longer the case. If you purchase an Apple Watch that has the cellular option, you can set it up on your iPhone, and the person who wears it will be able to have a phone number, be able to get text messages. You can set what contacts it can receive, and obviously you can do things like track their locations if your kid's wearing one when they get to soccer practice, or if your mother or grandparents are wearing it, you can communicate with them. It's a really nice way to get the Apple Watch first on more wrists, but also expand to new people. I'm not going to buy my 7-year-old an iPhone, but I might consider now having him wear an Apple Watch. I can keep track of where he is, so I at least know that he's safe and he can message me when he gets places. You don't have to use it, but it's a really nice thing to have. And I think the more watches that are on people's wrists, obviously the better for Apple, but the more access those folks will have to sort of the health functionality you get, especially for the older set. So that was the Series 6. There weren't giant changes there, but what was a nice addition to the Apple lineup now is a lower cost edition, appropriately called the Apple Watch SE. Visually, at least, looks pretty much identical to the past current generations of Apple Watch, including this Series 6. What's powering it is the S5 chip, which was pretty much the same in the S4 and the S5 edition of Apple Watches. Just to sum it up, it'll be as fast as the Apple Watch Series 5. And if you're someone that's coming from a Series 3, it'll be 2 times faster than that. So what it's missing is obviously the blood oxygen monitoring that's new, the ECG features that we have on sort of the past couple Apple Watches, but you do have sort of the other main sensors that are here. You've got accelerometer, gyroscope, compass, altimeter, and I think perhaps most importantly for the older folks, it supports fall detection. And if you opt for the cellular version of the SE, you can use it for family setup as well. Perhaps most excitingly though is price. Starting at $279. Obviously that goes up if you go for the bigger 44 millimeters, but that's a really nice entry point to get more watches to more people. So pricing for the S6 is still pretty much what it's always been, starting at $399 and going up from there depending on how you want to option it up and what material. But Apple did say something interesting during their environmental impact part about the Apple Watch. They said they know that they are contributing to waste and they are going to be removing the USB power brick from the box. So you'll still get the little magnetic disc, but you'll have to provide your own way to plug it in, which is a very clear indicator that, true to rumors, the iPhone 12, 12 Pro, and every other iPhone that comes out from here on will not have the charging brick in the box. Obviously, the Apple Watch is a big part of Apple's new Apple Fitness Plus subscription service. The watch will integrate with the classes that you're taking, it'll monitor how you're performing, it'll help close your rings, and obviously all of those Apple Fitness Plus things play nicely with all the other Apple stuff, your iPads, Apple TVs, and of course, iPhones. If you are interested in the Apple Fitness Plus to pair with your watch, again, subscription model, so it's about $10 a month or about $80 a year. You can share it with families. It'll be available before the end of the year, and Apple is going to give you 3 months free if you pick up a new Apple Watch. If any of these watches sound interesting to you, they're available for pre-order now, and they will be in stores on Friday the 18th. So that's the Apple Watch Series 6 and the Apple Watch SE. Nothing giant here, but nice changes. I think things like blood oxygen monitoring are really nice for early detection of panic attacks and sort of your overall health monitoring. And that's really where the Apple Watch is going. It's changing to be a health tool, an indispensable tool. If you talk to people who have never used a watch before and they get their first one, they're probably the first ones to tell you how sort of shifting it is for them and how much they tend to rely on the computer on their wrist. And Series 6 brings new things to that table, I guess while keeping the same familiar look.